I am the famous American. Let's talk, let's have a conversation based on the comments from a video that I recently made called I Am an American in the USA. What do you really think of Americans? So I love this. I love finding an outsider's perspective. Yes, I have traveled the world. I've been to multiple other countries. Do I need to name them? Okay, I'll name them. Ecuador, South Korea, Thailand twice, Trinidad, Tobago, and New Zealand. So I have traveled the world in my lifetime. I've been outside these borders. Oh, Canada, I guess, you know. In the United States, we don't really count that as a foreign country, but I should probably do a video about that. So thanks for the idea. But as for this video, let's check out the comments from the previous video when I'm asking people outside the United States, what do you really think of Americans in the USA? Which the very first comment, which country in America? Argentina, Brazil, Chile? And they name, I'm like, did you not read the title? It says in the United States. Okay, so we'll move on. Next guy, why has my comment been deleted? Well, because YouTube has these bots that basically predict whether you're spam. Apparently they thought it was spam. So I always have to manually go in there and try to revive these comments that YouTube thought were improper for some reason. All right, here we go. Maxwell Smart, a good friend. He got two thumbs up with this comment from viewers. Here's what he said. Quote, as a Canadian, having lived most of his life in Europe, I see the US from a European perspective. From my point of view, many Americans live in a world of their own, ignorant of the fact that the rest of the world is very different from their own, and they couldn't care less. I see a proud nation, often lost in its own patriotism. As for me, I don't understand why the American people freely accept a poor social welfare system that disadvantages the poor, that allows a system to bankrupt you if you become seriously ill, and a system that supports the wealthy at the price of the poor. I see a nation that is often divided into two opposing opinions or poles, black versus white, right versus wrong, Republican versus Democrat, Christian versus others. I miss a workable midway. The acceptance of violence also actually scares me. I see a people that is friendly and helpful in many ways. Also, I see a nation that is enriched entertainment from the written word to music, shows, art, and film. Those are just stereotypes that come to mind, but stereotypes are not the whole truth, end quote. I love that comment. And as an American in the United States, born here, raised here, I agree with everything he said. And that's the intelligence that I'm looking for. I understand that YouTube is largely, the people who leave comments are largely immature teenage kids that haven't lived enough life experience, and they're in one little corner of their own mind and they can't see past themselves. That's an intelligent answer. I love how it's balanced. I love how there's some seemingly negative things to be said, but there's also positive ones as well. And I agree that, yeah, there's some issues as far as if you get sick here and you don't have much money, you could be bankrupt over that. That is a problem. I agree with that. There needs to be reform in that. And because of our political system, because of tribalism, people demonize the other side. So if you're Republican, you think Democrats are idiots and immoral, and if you're a Democrat, you think that about Republicans. By the way, I'm not. I'm a libertarian. I'm outside of that. And I'm able to be that much more aware that that's a problem. But it's also part of the problem why our system is broken to the point that we need to have a better system in place. But that we get in the way of ourselves because of that ultimately. And yes, we have contributed a lot to entertainment. I happen to be a YouTuber and I do make money from these videos. People are, why are you so obsessed with ethnicity and DNA test? Well, you do understand this is a side hustle. I'm making like $500 a month off of doing these videos based on you watching them, right? You know, YouTube was invented here. The movie industry arguably took off ground here. So many things in entertainment come from here. So we are very minded as far as when it comes to entertaining. And I do love the fact that what he did say, that people who are friendly and helpful in many ways, I do see us as a very friendly people. And I think when you see us in other places, you're like, why is it? Because I remember when I first went to Thailand the first summer, and I was like waving at people, like looking at people, and then I realized it's out of their culture. They don't go around looking at each other and waving. But in the United States, it's a matter of, why wouldn't you be friendly? Why wouldn't you find a way to help people? That's part of our identity is doing that. It's not just put other countries down that aren't that way, but it's part of our culture to be that way, which can therefore make us seem rude, ironically, when we're in a different place, because we are just thinking, hey, we can all have fun here and talk and do this. And then other countries are like, hold back. Who are you again? Oh, you're another American. That's why you're so loud. So I love that. That's a perfect response and really what I was looking for. I also found another one here too that really kind of covered this a little bit too. Orgullo Hispano had said, quote, this is difficult to answer. I'm from Spain. And I love hearing from people from Spain. I'm from Spain, so how Americans look for us is what Hollywood shows us, like Western movies, hamburgers, the movies at World War II, and about American citizens, I think is the typical stereotype of a person from Texas that has guns and so proud of his American flag to the 4th of July. Personally, I have a good perception about the USA. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you saying that. And I do want to touch on that about, what's funny about Westerns is, we don't really make Westerns anymore. Westerns don't sell. Superhero movies sell now, but traditionally, yes, Westerns were the original superhero movies, which I think I made a video on that recently. Both this comment and the one before from Maxwell Smart touched on patriotism. And see, that's an interesting thing too, because as a libertarian, I'm able to recognize, so we've been at war for like 2 decades because of 9/11, basically, nearly 2 decades, fighting Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, like all these countries, but not Kuwait. The people who hijacked the plane were from Kuwait. Yet we're like buddies with Kuwait. We're oil buddies with Kuwait. Like, so it seems like we're always at war. And I'm always thinking there's some kind of special interest in mind there. But because of World War II, World War II largely defined a lot of our identity here for many generations, especially older generations. So we take this World War II mentality when we helped keep the world free, but we keep misassigning it to other wars. We did that with Vietnam. We've done that with the war that we're constantly in now over the 9/11 attacks, which ultimately, again, no one's talking about Kuwait. They're our frenemies. They like us, we like them, but yet people that didn't like the United States from Kuwait were the ones that hijacked the plane. And no one's talking about that. But it's able to keep propelling war, no matter who's president, whether Republican or Democrat, we can still remain at war. Why? Because 9/11. And there's like a meme, for other things like, because pizza, well, because 9/11, 9/11. Therefore, we're always at war. We have to have a perceived enemy so we can always be at war. And it helps if they're of a different race other than European and or religion. That's why people in the Middle East serve as a perfect perceived enemy for us to always be fighting, when really it's probably about oil and special interests that we can't know about that our government does know. See, I'm aware of that, but I think a lot of people still got caught up in the patriotism of it and think, well, we're fighting for our freedom. I don't know that we are. I really question that at this point. I really think it's weird that it's not mainstream knowledge that the people on the planes were from Kuwait. They weren't from Iraq. They weren't from Iran, Afghanistan. They were from Kuwait. That's supposed to be our friend. We make too much money with them, but there were people who didn't appreciate that, and because they didn't appreciate it, therefore, they rebelled against us and got on the planes. No one's talking about that. But see, for me, as an American, I can agree with all of these comments. I hear so much truth in there. But, and I saw this in the comment too, somebody had said something they like about me is that I'm willing to question things. I don't know if that comment was on this video or not, but I did see that on there, that somebody had recognized that I question. Here it is. Jonas Johnson, I'm gonna read the end of his comment. He said, in my opinion, while I certainly don't agree with all of your statements, you are one of the Americans who always try to question things. That's a good character trait in my book, and 2 people like that. So yes, I can agree with all of these stereotypes about Americans that were left in the previous video. They don't necessarily reflect me, but I can recognize as part of this country that, yeah, that definitely is a big part of the identity of Americans as a whole. But what I would like for you to take away from that is that there are always free thinkers. I happen to be one of those free thinkers, questioning the system, questioning our perception of reality, carrying over World War II mentality post year 2000. And we're still living in that. I think that's interesting how that works. So thank you for noticing that I am questioning things. I am truly wanting to learn. outside of my own perception of reality. I would love to hear more of what you have to say right here in the comments.